What is up? We get an extra sexy view of my closet door because the house is in perpetual state of just being a rotten mess, and I would hate to show people that. Okay, so as of today, I have been on testosterone for a week, and I'm kind of regretting not making an introduction video, before I started, but there wasn't really anything different about me, obviously, to report aside from being very excited. Whoa, that was exciting, on the thought of which. Um, and, just, I didn't really notice anything, like, right off the bat. A couple of effects, like, the very next day. Um, and just sort of it's been evolving since then. But as of today, it's been a week, and I've noticed some very minor but very exciting things. First, I apparently had no idea what it was like to actually have an appetite and to crave food because I have felt like a black hole the past week. And that's really exciting because I guess, before I would just end up going the whole day without eating and then wonder why I had a headache and, just hunger signals were not really a part of my background. And another thing is, this is going to be tremendously TMI, so I apologize in advance, but apparently I had also forgotten what it was like to have a sex drive, and so that has been gloriously fixed in the time since I started on tea. And both of those effects were very immediate. That is, my appetite and my, libido just the day after, continuously since I put on my very first patch. Oh, I guess that's important information. I've been doing tea patches as opposed to injections because I figured if there were needles involved, then I would be more likely to chicken out, and I would be very sad if that were to happen. A word to the wise, if you are someone who is considering testosterone, according to the doctor who prescribed these patches to me, currently patches and gel are only available as, under a brand name. So there isn't a generic version yet, which means that insurance is gonna probably bitch a little bit more about having to pay for them, and or your copay may be higher. Mine is about 5 times as high with the brand name drugs as with the generics, and that is like an extremely good deal for most of my needs. Sex drive, hunger, immediate effects. That's pretty much it. And I know that a lot of people who start this medication get they've been waiting such a long time to access hormones, and they're feeling very dysphoric about parts of their body that are a little bit slower to change. And so I've been trying to just sort of notice what I notice without getting too gung-ho about things that I really want to happen. So, as an example, I'm really excited for when my voice eventually drops. But the average onset for that apparently is between 3 and 6 months. So we'll have to see. But as of yesterday, another little change that has happened is that I noticed that I have a cute little dark line from my belly button traveling downwards of little hairs that have started to grow in and be darker. And so that was the first externally visible sign that the medicine is working. And so I was very excited, and at first I was kind of wary of being too excited because of what I just mentioned about just not wanting to make myself very upset because things aren't happening quickly enough. And so I brought my partner into the bedroom, and I was like, I gotta show you this thing. Was this here before? And she was like, no, that was not there before. And so, yay, we have at least one externally visible change. Otherwise, mood has been great. And I'm not sure if it is just sort of biochemically testosterone making me feel better than estrogen usually does, because I know that estrogen has been implicated in being really emotional and kind of under the weather. Or conversely, that I have a lot of excitement about changes to come and just looking different, looking closer on the outside to the way that I feel on the inside. I know that's a cliche, but it is literally the reason that I started this. And in particular, for me, I am someone who is non-binary, and my identity leanings tend to shift sometimes. And it's not really clear to me what triggers them, but ironically enough, as someone who is gender fluid, who my identities kind of range from agender, so I feel no attachment to any identity at all, through feminine, kind of in the middle here, towards masculine, genderqueer. And so, ironically, I'm very excited to be able to more comfortably approach feminine fashion and products and like appearance from a place of looking a lot more masculine. And sounding a lot more masculine. I am excited for the idea of just sort of fucking with people in the sense that they cannot tell what I am. Because ideally that's how I feel on the inside. Like, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, what is gender? Gender is fake, words are fake, and we should all just go home. And so to have that reflected on the outside is going to be great, I think. Like, seriously, I started seeing a new therapist, and the first assignment she gave me, because she gives homework, she's one of those, was to write down 3 good things that happened in a day. And legit, for like the first half of the past week, it was just like, testosterone. Testosterone. My mood is great. I've never felt this great before. Yay. And so I think the novelty will probably wear off, and I may not feel quite as exuberant all the time as I was in the first few days when it was very new, but we'll see, you know? I will say that I've had a couple of moments that I realized that I was just being very grumpy and just emotive teenager mood swings, and so coming from the perspective of someone whose moods have really like leveled out as an adult, and been less extreme and just been a little less like reactive and sad when life happens. It was at first like totally caught me off guard, but then as soon as like earlier today I had a moment to myself where I was like not able to find my sunglasses, and I found myself just getting really, really angsty and upset. And I had to like stop myself from continuing to look for the sunglasses because I was just like having a mood. And we're better now. Also, I found the sunglasses, so that's cool. But yeah. I guess, side note, gymnastics is a thing that I am very into. It's a thing I got into about a year ago, and I've kept doing it. And I was finding it yesterday, like, a lot easier to do skills. And so I definitely think it's a little bit too early to be like, oh, clearly I have increased muscle mass. I was pretty athletic before. I've been training for about a year and some change. But it was more that my awareness of where I am in space seemed to be a lot better. I don't know if that's because, like, I do have a little bit more strength, or, like, if it's at all related. But, of course, when you start something as dramatic and new as, like, completely changing your biochemical, like, sex hormone makeup, I think everyone wonders a little bit, like, here's a change. Is that related? And the fact is I have no way of knowing. That's okay, right? Anyway, it was very fun. And so far, tea has been really fun. I have noticed that my skin has gotten a lot drier for some reason. Like, I have some spots on my face that just are dry, like, all the time. And they were that way before I started patches. But since the tea, it's been, like, more severe. I never really had acne that bad when I went through my first puberty. And so I'm, like, looking ahead at testosterone being, like, how bad is it going to be? And so I think that the dryness is probably just, you know, sort of this retexturing itself a little bit because there's different hormones. I think by and large that's it for my 1 week of tea and my 1 week of stuff that I've noticed. If any person watching this is considering hormones and is debating what delivery mechanism to say, to start with, I would say definitely like patches are going to be more expensive. They're supposed to deliver a more consistent dose of testosterone. So unlike in injections where you really spike your T level at the very beginning of your weekly or biweekly treatment, and then it like slopes downward, and then you spike it again. The T is just sort of gradual across a day. And so that seemed more accessible for me. You may feel differently. I think that as a result too, like you may see some more dramatic changes allegedly with an injection system, but I wouldn't know. On the other hand, the other piece of advice that I have is if you're gonna go with patches, it can be a pain in the ass to get them to stick. So, especially like, I mentioned that I'm very athletic, and so I'm constantly moving, and like my body is constantly scrunching in these weird ways. But I have found that if you shave the area and you wipe it down with a little bit of alcohol, just so there's no like lotion or soap residue, whatever, on your body, then it seems that they stay a lot easier than just sort of slapping them on. Even if you press and hold for 5 or 10 seconds, which is what my pharmacist suggested. So that's it. Yay. I hope that this has been informative and exciting for you as it has been for me. I made this video kind of partially for myself so I can like go back and like look at this video and see what it was like, weeks or months or years down the line. But also because I have no idea who in my close circle or out there in the world is like at all curious about this kind of journey. So if there are questions y'all have for me or things you're curious about, please feel free to ask me. I'm pretty open so long as questions are, respectful, or, I don't care if you don't really understand political correctness at first, so long as you really, like, endeavor to learn and accept. That's the biggest thing. But I will be back probably next week, and we'll see how this goes. Till next time.